new to the YPO world, never spoken in front of a YPO crowd before, Ori Bengal.
First of all, thank you so much. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here in front of you guys, the members of YPO and WPO. First of all, by show of hands, everyone raise your hand if you actually know what a cartoon is. No? All right. Now, raise your hand if you actually ever watched a cartoon. No? All right. Wow, everyone. Excellent. Now, raise your hand if you actually will admit to actually liking cartoons. All right, I like you guys. I want to speak here more often. Well, when I was a kid, cartoons I thought were the greatest thing ever. I mean, they were my favorite things in the world. In fact, I thought I was going to grow up and make cartoons. And now that I'm actually in my mid-30s, I have even more reasons to love cartoons, not just watching them. You see, on my 9th birthday, I left my home country of Israel. I didn't know a lick of English. In fact, I didn't even know we were moving here. I thought we were going on a 2-week Disney vacation. And no, they don't sing It's a Small World in Hebrew on that ride. But we came here, and I lived in the American dream. I had my first American meal. 20 chicken McNuggets, large fries, and a whole bunch of birthday cake. Chocolate, yes. And the thing was, though, I didn't understand a word of what anyone was telling me. It was really scary and confusing. And I didn't know English, but I loved cartoons. And it was actually through watching cartoons that I learned to speak English. And that might explain a lot, I don't know. But I already told you I wanted to make cartoons. So I figured I should probably learn computers, because they had video games, and those are kind of like cartoons. And so by the time I was in middle school, I started teaching myself architectural design software, because it kind of looked like graphics. And I remember, anyone here remember dot matrix printers? You know, the thing with the little perforated printers and papers? So back then, you know, we didn't have font size, we didn't have inkjet printers and all that stuff. So when my teacher said that we could have one sheet of paper with our notes that we could actually have with us on our final exams, what I did, I took my entire semester's worth of notes, I laid it out as blueprints, and then I shrunk it down to fit onto one page, which I brought with me for a test. Now, let me see by show of hands, who thinks I did well on that test? Who thinks I didn't? Well, I don't remember how I did, but I don't care. You see, the thing is, I sold those suckers for $10 a copy, and everyone bought them. So I finally learned something in school. I learned that school can actually be fun and profitable if you're learning the things that you want to learn, the things that are going to help you get to your goals, not necessarily the things that people think or tell you that you should learn. I also learned that I'm an entrepreneur. And the thing was that this quick influx of cash, which bought me a bunch of really cool video games, came about because I wanted to learn how to make cartoons. Now, a couple years later, I got into the University of Florida, and I left there because the things that I had already taught myself in computer animation were light years ahead of what they were teaching at their computer animation program back in '94. And I learned another lesson, basically, that even if you're paying someone, it's still your responsibility to learn the things that are going to get you to your goals. Just because you're paying someone doesn't mean that they're as passionate about it or that they have the same vision of what the possibilities are in your profession. So I left the University of Florida and I said, screw this, I'm just going to do the self-study thing. And I was learning 3D animation. And I learned that 3D animation is extremely processor intensive. It's slow. It takes a lot of time. And I said, what can I do to speed this up? I mean, if you make a mistake, it takes you another couple of days just to see the changes. So I learned video editing, and I learned compositing and motion graphics, and that saved me a lot of time. And I actually started getting gigs doing motion graphics and video editing and stuff like that. I moved down to South Beach. It was a lot of fun, and actually because of 3D animation, I learned how to use Photoshop, because you have to make textures. You know, you're telling the 3D objects what color they are, and you're putting your 3D objects onto photographs and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. But in South Florida, it's not Hollywood, and when my video editing, 3D, and motion graphics work ran out, I ran out of money. South Beach is pretty expensive, and so moved back in with my parents, back in Boca Raton, Florida. And I started day trading with them. We were trading the S&P 500, and I was actually very good at it. I kicked ass, but the thing was that it was really stressful. I mean, you're watching money come and you're watching money go, and working with family, well, it can be stressful, and I didn't like the hours either. I'm generally nocturnal, and when I was doing the 3D and video editing stuff, I just cranked through the night. This had to be up at 7, watch the reports. I didn't like it, and on top of that, my parents and I, we were just constantly arguing over what strategies we were going to use. I was way more aggressive than they were, and so finally I said, you know what, screw this, I'm done. And my dad said, well, Ori, you're living here and you need money and you're now not making it and you're not getting any of these freelance projects. It's time to face reality. I mean, you could probably make more money working at Best Buy. Why don't you get a job at McDonald's, and then you can keep trying to find your clients. But you know, you'd make more money working full-time at McDonald's than you do right now, getting your little 3D projects here and there. And I was crushed. I mean, my dad would rather see me be a burger slinger than pursuing my passion, my dream that I've invested all this time, all this effort, all this money into. I said, well, forget this. You know, it's like, whose reality? That's his reality, not mine. So I made some calls. And one of my friends had a friend that had an opportunity. It was a part-time job. It was moving 40 years worth of storage down some stairs and then into trucks to get rid of it. It was the owner of the world's largest online community of models and photographers at the time. And back then, you know, especially since I was basically unemployed, I had a lot of time and I was working out about 2 hours a day. And so I was like, yeah, this sounds like a great way to not only make money, but get a good workout in. I did that. I moved to 40 years worth of crap, and then I leveraged my knowledge of Photoshop, and I got a full-time job with them designing the business cards for all their photographers. They had tens of thousands of photographers, and they were constantly buying business cards. Now, the boss, Brett, had a camera and a bunch of really good lenses. I asked him if he minded if I used those lenses. He said, sure. So I bought a cheap camera, the cheapest I could get, while still working with his professional lenses, and I started using the camera. Now here's the thing, because of me wanting to create cartoons and getting into 3D animation, I actually had years of virtual camera and lighting experience. So when I actually touched a real camera, everyone's like, oh my God, you're badass. Everyone loved my work. But I thought I could get even better. So what I did, every single time that I was designing a business card for a photographer whose work I thought was just amazing, what I would do is I would spend on my own time a bunch of extra time, and what I would send them is something that was way better than what they paid for. And I'd also send them my compliments and praise of their work. They'd become my buddies, and then those buddies became mentors and were able to give me feedback on my photography. I'd post my photo shoots online. They'd tell me what I could do to improve them. I got way better way fast. And then initially on my part-time, you know, on the side, and then eventually quitting my job and doing this full-time, I became a photographer. I was getting paid to basically shoot girls wearing practically nothing, or sometimes nothing. I was shooting events down in South Beach. I was getting to go to the best concerts and the coolest events, and had VIP everything. So my job, even though I was making money, it was actually, I was getting all the things that, you know, I was told I'm supposed to want for free. Everyone thought I had the perfect life. I was living in a high-rise on the beach. I was hanging out with hot models. I had free everything, VIP everything, but I wasn't happy. Despite having everything that as a 20-something you're told you're supposed to want, I wasn't happy. I mean, anyone here ever start a relationship or a business and you think it's supposed to make you happy, and then you just, or maybe it's something you're supposed to do, and you wake up one day and you feel kind of empty? That's how I felt. I woke up and I just felt empty. I mean, I was supposed to go to college, and that didn't work out. And I mean, if hanging out with rock stars and shooting hot models and going to crazy parties doesn't make you happy at 29, I mean, what will? So I was getting desperate. I was just clinging, I was gasping for air, and the thing that really scared me is that I did not know what would. make me happy. So I thought about how when I turned 9, I came to America and had to start everything from scratch. And I said, you know what? Time to do that again. And I decided that I was 29 and I wasn't doing anything that I was passionate about. So what I would do is I'd go and find out what I am passionate about. When my lease was going to expire, rather than renew in one place, what I decided I would do is I would check out every place and then decide where I want to live. Now, you might be thinking, Ori, how can you check out every place? Well, I decided that what I would do is I would travel around the country completely based on whose couch am I crashing on next. What I would do is I would offer everyone my photography in exchange for their hospitality, maybe show me around a little bit. I mean, I had great pictures to back it up. Figured, how hard could it be? And thus began the adventures of couch surfing Ori. Now, before I start telling you about my epic adventures, which over the last 5 years have allowed me to reinvent my life and completely pursue nothing but the things I'm passionate about, I'm going to show you what I call the snowball of passion. And no, I know it might sound like something out of a porno, but it's not. You see, a snowball is made up of snowflakes. On their own, they're fairly insignificant. Hell, they're practically imaginary. You know, they melt on contact. But if you take a couple of these things and you pack them together, they become kind of solid. And you take this solid thing and you roll it down a hill. There's a bunch of snow, obviously in Florida, this is kind of useless. It basically is going to get bigger and bigger with each rotation, getting more momentum until finally it just goes on its own and it's practically unstoppable. Well, your life and your business are kind of like this, and to me there is no difference between the two. So, you start off with a marker that doesn't work. So you try a second marker and hope that it works. There we go. So, you start off with passion. And for $49.99, I have a course on how to read my handwriting. So you start out with passion. You have an inkling. You have a couple of ideas of what's going to make you happy, what you like. And then you add on to that education. And this education can be a formal education, what you might get at this university, or it might be some courses or a book you read or conversations or mentors or trial by fire. It doesn't matter. You're learning what it is that you need to do to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself. And then you take action, and that's where you actually start implementing the things that you learned how to do in order to achieve that passion. You start getting results. So you share those results. And when you share them, you're going to attract like-minded individuals. You're going to get feedback so you can improve whatever it is that you're doing. You're going to make friends, fans, enemies on occasion. But relationships are everything. At least that's what I've found to be true. And when you share those and you get those relationships, then you get opportunities. And the opportunities are going to allow you to do things that are bigger, that are more fun, more things that you're passionate about. And it's a cycle. That's why I call it the snowball, because it's just the opportunities are going to reach you to more passion, more education. You're going to learn what else is possible, and it just keeps going and going and going. And this way, you start out, and eventually, if you just keep it going, your little snowball is going to become this giant avalanche. It's just unstoppable and can just crush any obstacle that could have stopped it back when it was small and insignificant. So here I was 29. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I had a camera. I knew I was good with it. Had some people skills from shooting and all that fun stuff. And I decided that Indiana Jones was kind of a badass, and I wanted to be an adventurer. And by the way, it says that on my business card now. So I decided I was going to do this thing, and I started out, if you're looking at this thing, I started out wanting to learn cartoons. So I decided, well, I'd use computers. I picked up a couple of skills along the way. I started doing things with those. I started sharing those. I got feedback. I got opportunities and people that shaped my life. And so if you ask me what life's about right now, I'd probably give you a different answer than I would have been able to give you 10, 20 years ago. And now I tell you it's about being happy. And so I got on the road, and my first my first rule of living a life of passion is be you. I mean, like, really, be as much you as you possibly can be. I know a lot of you guys are in companies and you have to maybe tone it down sometimes, but you can apply this to a business. In fact, look at Apple. I mean, their fans are, their customers are fanatical, and they do everything in style. Well, for me, the style is being goofy and outrageous. So I threw this launch party at Nikki Beach Club in South Beach. I had 18 lingerie models, they were body painted, I had a fire dancer, I had an artist exhibit, I had free drinks for everyone. And the cool thing is, this didn't even cost me a cent to do this thing. I actually even made money off of it, and I didn't even try to. It just kind of happened. And why did this happen? Because I had a lot of people that I had helped out along the way when I was in the photography world. So the second rule, the second key to living a life passion is to always be learning. And the third key is to add value into other people's lives. I had a camera, I was able to connect other people, I was helping. Now I had like the coolest nightclub in South Beach, I had the models, everything was cool. So I announced at this party that I'm going to leave on my new adventure, couchsurfingori.com, on January 1st. I'm leaving on New Year's. Well, January 1st comes around and I'm folding all my stuff and trying to put it neatly into my car and looking at the time, and it's noon, it's 1 o'clock, so I'm like, screw this. I went from folding to just like finally trying to shove everything into the car. And my mom says, Ori, you know, relax. Just take off next week. You know, it doesn't matter. That way you won't be stressed out. Everything will be in place. You'll know you took care of everything. And I said, no. Because the number one killer of dreams is well-meaning friends and family trying to protect you. And if you have a dream, if you have a passion, you have something you want to do, you need to protect that and you need to take action. You see, that's why the fourth key to a life of passion is to share what you're passionate about and share your accomplishment and achievement along the way. I posted on my blog that I was leaving January 1st. I posted on MySpace, which was cool way back in 2007, that I'm leaving on January 1st, and I said at the party that I'm leaving. So there's no way that I wasn't leaving. I didn't care if I was ready or not. So I left. I got on the road, but you know, you have to leave or you're just never going to leave. And the thing is that when you do leave, when you do take action and pursue your passion, people are going to notice. I started getting a following on MySpace. My first couple of couches, the people I was staying with, were models, because that's the world I knew at the time, and people like pictures of models. So I posted that. The second girl I was staying with, she was actually a pilot, so she took me flying. And I posted, I really like adventures. I want more adventures. I got adventures. Around January 14th, 2007, I was driving from Houston down to Dallas, and I'm watching my thermostat. It's a beautiful blue day. It says 70 degrees, then it drops down to 60, 50, 40, 32, and I say out loud, huh, that's funny. I remember learning that that's the temperature that water freezes at. You don't see that in Florida. And all of a sudden, you know, I'm driving, and all of a sudden my car just jumps half a lane over. Freak out, I hit my brake, and all of a sudden my car just turns complete 180. Now, I'm going backwards and sideways down the freeway, watching all these cars come at me, and then one smashes into me. So you have to have a sense of humor, because, you know, shit happens, and it's not always puppies and rainbows when you're chasing your passion. You're going to have some obstacles. I like to say it as, you know, someday I'm going to look back at all this and laugh. So why wait? So I put my hands up in the air and I'm going, whee! Like I'm on a, you know, amusement park ride. My car's spinning, and bam! Smash into a concrete wall. Well, you know how I told you that the second key is learning? Well, I learned what black ice looks like. So I kept going. The fifth key is persistence. Shit happens, so you have to keep going. You know, and part of persistence is courage, optimism, sense of humor. You have to know that you're going to get through this, and not only you can get through it, but you're probably going to be closer to your goal or your dream than you were before. I mean, anyone here ever been in a relationship that ended, or had a business that failed, or something that seemed tragic and horrible at the time, but you look back now and you're like, oh my God, thank God that happened. It was such a pivotal turning point. Like, my life would suck if that didn't happen. So, yeah. Let's see. The way I look at the crazier something is, the better of a story it's going to make. People love a train wreck. So 5.5 months into my journey, they threw me this awesome going away party in Atlanta. And we had steak and tequila and more tequila, Bill. And, you know, the problem is that the girl that I was supposed to be staying with in South Carolina the next day, she wasn't returning my calls, or my texts, or my emails, or my MySpace messages. But, I mean, they threw me a going away party. I can't really stick around. So I decided to take off anyways. And I got in my car, and I drove to Greenville, South Carolina, and I sat there in my car, and I had a little mobile Wi-Fi at the time, and I was posting all these notifications, all these SOS distress calls on MySpace saying, hey, who do you know in Greenville? I'm stranded. I called everyone. I texted everyone. I was seeing if anyone that I knew anyone that I could stay with in or near Greenville, South Carolina. And usually when things happen, you know, we're forced to hustle. We're forced to take action. And usually we're better off because we made things happen that weren't going to happen otherwise. And I sat in my car. I was there 9.5 hours. I sat in my car, and I decided, you know what? Screw this. I guess I didn't get results. Now, I was hungry. I was starving. I was tired. I was frustrated because I didn't get results, and for the first time on my trip, I was stranded. I didn't have a place to stay. Now, I'm not a religious man by any means, but I know that there's a place that you can go anytime, day or night, when you're down. So I went to Denny's, and for $2 you can get all the coffee you want. I sat there, and at midnight I get this call. There's this girl named Sadie. I never heard of her, I never met her, we never spoke before, and she asked me, oh, so do you have a place for a night? I said, yeah, I do, but I think the waiters are going to be kind of pissed off if I start drooling on their table. And she said, ha, 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 okay, you can come stay at my place. She gave me her address, and she said to just text her when I get there. So I get there around 1 in the morning, I park my car, I text her, and her and 2 of her friends show up at my car. And they say, all right, follow us, but be really, really quiet. Okay. We're walking. I say, hey. She said, what? Why am I being so quiet? And she looked me square in the eyes, and I'm never going to forget what she said to me. Sadie said, because it's an all-girls school, and you're not supposed to be here. I mean, the story got even better. We go inside, and it turns out it was final exams weekend. We step inside, and her room, there was 5 girls there, 2 of which were bartenders, and they brought all their work home. So we're doing shots, we're playing board games, we're running drunk through the water fountains at this university, we're rolling down the hill. I had a blast. I couldn't wait until the next time I was going to get stranded now. I was like looking forward to it now. And sure enough, 4 months later, it happened. And I got on MySpace and started texting, who do you know, and all that good stuff. And that's how I spent a month training and staying with UFC cage fighters, which is a whole other presentation of craziness. But after 5 years of traveling around and staying with different people and trying all these different things, I really got to know what I like, what I don't like. I got to find out what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about people, about problem solving, and as those of you who got to meet me last night know, really, really bad jokes. And so, you know, I get to make new friends. I get to improve their businesses. I get to improve their lives. I have countless opportunities, both in business and adventure. I've had the privilege of staying with such heavy hitters in business, such as Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos.com. Stayed with 2-time New York Times bestselling author Keith Ferrazzi. Basically, I wake up and I'm happy. I've gotten to have all sorts of crazy adventures. I've gotten to learn new skills on the road because I listen to audiobooks everywhere. So now I'm really good at marketing and consulting. I've gotten to make friends that I now consider my family I've gotten to find love and romance on the road. And you know what? Photography, the skill that came about because I wanted to learn to make cartoons, has helped me document all of it. So, am I saying that you need to drop everything and start staying on strangers' couches? No, not at all. Just find out what you're passionate about. Maybe start a new business, something that actually makes you happy. Or maybe reinvent your business a little bit so it makes you happy. But discover the things that you want. Figure out what it is that you want to do, that you need to do in order to achieve them and how you're going to do those. Start taking action on it. Share that action. I say leverage technology, social media, and all that stuff that's going to get you much larger results. And that's going to make opportunities. Remember, relationships are everything. And the most important thing, stick with it. Because that's the fuel that's going to push your little snowball into an unstoppable avalanche. My name is Ori Bengal. My adventures can be found on couchsurfingori.com. I'd like to thank you for your time, and that's all, folks.